Hey everybody, welcome back. So today I'm going to show you how to make your own Linux distro. So I don't know if you've seen my website yet, but I've released 4 versions of my Arch distro. One's OpenBox, one's Cinnamon, one's Plasma 6, and one is XFCE4. And I plan on doing a few more of them also, so you can have the base already for whatever system you're trying to build. So in this case, I'm using the OpenBox version. So each one is going to be kind of tailored to its own thing. But if you get the understanding down on one of them, then you pretty much have the basis for all of them. There are some minor tweaks in each one that you need to follow, but that can be explained for each one easily. It won't be an issue. But for right here, we're just going to walk through the creation of a Linux distro that I'm just going to make up a name right now. So I know in the past videos I said if you want to call it King Kong, Linux, you could call it. So in this case, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make a distro called King Kong. It's going to be an Arch-based distro. It's going to have the OpenBox desktop environment, and I'm going to show you how to create it here. All right. So one of the things you want to do is open up your file manager. All right, and then you're going to have this folder right here called ISO. So you open up ISO, and you have a folder inside the ISO that is the releng. So if you're familiar with Arch ISO, you know what the releng folder is. If you are not familiar with what Arch ISO is, then let's open up a web browser, and let's do a search for Arch ISO. And it'll take you to the Arch Wiki, and it'll pretty much give you all the details on what you need to do to get Arch ISO set up. So Arch ISO is basically what'll get you set up to set up your system the way you want to, so you can create the ISO USB. So the thing with Arch ISO is that it'll do all of that for you, but to install that system onto your newly installed system is what I'm going to show you how to do. So the base for Arch ISO is already done. So you really don't have to touch the base. I mean, there are a few things that you can mess with, but other than that, really the base itself is already done. So that makes it so you can skip this process right here. I mean, there are a few things you will need to do, but you can pretty much skip the whole Arch ISO thing. But if you want to get to know Arch ISO, then there's an Arch Wiki for it, and you just read it. Follow the steps, and it'll help you understand what Arch ISO does. Okay? And that's where this releng folder comes into play. So like I said, I've pretty much taken that part of the work out for you. So in here in the releng folder, the first thing you want to edit is your profile def. So let me open this with a text editor, so we could get into it. And let me change the colors on here so you can see it better. Go to fonts and colors. And I'll make it just a little bit bigger. All right, I'm going to close that. All right. So right here on this profile is right here where we have the naming of our system. So for example, I'm going to call this one King Kong Linux. So I'm going to change LinuxHub Arch, and we're going to call it King Kong Linux. That's just for the sake of this video. And I'm just calling it version 1. I mean, you could call it whatever you want. You don't even have to have this in there. You can delete that if you want to, but I'll put it back. And I'll do it down here also. So I'll just copy this, and I'll add it down here. All right. So we're giving the ISO a label right now. And then right here, you got your ISO publisher link and ISO application. So right here, if you want to call it King Kong also, you can do that. And then right here. All right, so that pretty much labels your ISO and everything that's going to go with your ISO. It's going to give it the label King Kong. All right, so we are going to come back to this script, but for now, we're going to leave it like this and we'll save it. And that's your profile script. So I'll just leave that on there. All right, and then you have another file right here that's called packages. So we'll open this with a text editor also. And if you scroll down, there's going to be some hashtags. And these are the hashtags right here. Everything below that is what I added to the script. Everything above that comes automatically with the script. So this is already in there. These are the defaults. Everything on top are the defaults. And everything underneath is what I added to it. So this is what's going to dictate the file size of your ISO. So the more you add right here, the bigger your ISO is going to be. So in this case, when you open up my LinuxHub, the OpenBox, pretty much this right here is everything that's doing the work on that ISO right there. This is all that I added to it. I stripped it to as much as I could. Like, I don't even have to have JG Manu on here. So that's something that I can go ahead and remove. Doesn't really need it. Let's see what else is on here. Rofi. I don't even use Rofi. So I can just remove that from here. But nitrogen, that's for the wallpaper. Volume counts for the volume. You know, you only want to have what you need for the live environment, just so you can get the system installed. But you can leave those other things in there. But like I said, the more you add right here, the bigger it makes your ISO. All right. So that's this section right here. So in this case, this one's already set up for the ISO. So you really don't have to change nothing here unless you want to. If there's something you want to add right here, you can go ahead and add it now. Now my systems, the way I have them set up, nothing from the AUR works. It's only basic Arch programs that you can use. Nothing from the AUR, nothing from Yay, no Git, nothing like that. Just basic Arch installed programs. All right. So I'll just leave this one as it is right here and go back over here. Bootstrap packages, you don't have to mess with that. Pacman Conf, at this point, you don't have to mess with it, but I'm going to open it anyways just to show you a few things. Right here in the Pacman Conf, you have the extra included, but I don't have the testing. I don't have the testing included in this one. If you want to have like support for wine and things like that, you can uncome out like the multi-lib, and the multi-lib will give you access to get like, Steam and things like that installed. But right now, for the case of this video, I don't need it. So I'm not going to uncomment it out. But if you wanted things like Steam and stuff like that, because it tells you right here, if you want to run 32-bit applications on your 86 system, enable the multi-lib repositories as required here. So if your whatever you're looking for is in the testing branch, then you would uncomment the testing branch and then the regular multi-lib branch. All right. But I don't need it, so I'm going to leave that alone. All right. Now we're going to go into SysLinux. This is going to be part of your Grub that boots into your system. So there's an image right here that's called Splash. So I'll open this. I'll open it in GIMP. All right. So this is the image opened up in GIMP right here. Now you actually don't even have to use this image at all. You could just download another image from the internet, and that's what I'm going to do here. So, like I said, I'm calling the system King Kong. So just for the sake of this video, I'm going to look for a King Kong image, and I'm just going to paste it right on top of that. So let's look at this one. I'm going to get a kind of darker image because it'll fit better with the text that's going to be on top of it. And I might just throw some darker shading on top of it just to make the text more readable. So I'm going to put this in my pictures folder. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and then go back over here and put open as layer. So I navigate to my pictures folder, which is right there. And this is the one I just downloaded. All right, so you can see right now the image is a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to scale it up some. So click on it. Until it's fully covered the whole, there you go. Right there. All right, so we're going to do that. Now this guide is not telling you how to create an image. I'm just doing this as an example. So I just put a little thing over it, and then I'll turn down the opacity. All right, this is just to make it a little bit darker, you know what I mean? Just so you can make the text more readable. All right, I'll leave it like that, and I'll click Overwrite Splash Pane. All right, it's overwritten it, so I'm going to go ahead and close that down. All right, so that's inside of your SysLinux. Now, in all of these, you got to, I'm just going to select them all, and then I'll deselect the image. And now I'll open them all with the text editor. All right, so I'll start with the last one first. And in here, I don't see anything that says LinuxHub on it. So I'll go ahead and close that. All right, this one right here. Is there anything with LinuxHub on it? So one good thing to do is do a search, find, and I'll just type LinuxHub, find, not found. So I'll go ahead and close this one. And this one, find, and boom. You see how it found all these that say LinuxHub? So like I said, we want to call this King Kong Linux. So I'm going to do the first one. Oh. So we're going to call it King Kong. Remember, I'm going to do it all of them. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to do a search and replace. So I close this, go back to search, and go to replace. So everywhere it says LinuxHub, we're going to replace that with King Kong. Replace them all. All right, so now they all say King Kong on them. So I'll go ahead and save. And I'll close this one. And now we'll go to the next one. I don't see anything with LinuxHub. I'll go ahead and close that one. And this one right here, we'll do the same thing, replace all, and it changed it 9 times on this particular file. So I'll go ahead and save it. Close it. And right here, I don't see anything with LinuxHub, so I'll go ahead and close that. And right here, there is one LinuxHub right here, so I'm gonna just go ahead, replace. All right, now it says King Kong. Go ahead and save and close. All right, so that's all those files. I'll go ahead and close this. Go back here. So I'm done with this folder. Go back to releng. Now I'm gonna go to Grub. All right, right here you just have 2 files. So I'll just select them all. Open with Pluma. And we'll do it again, search and replace. LinuxHub with King Kong, replace all. Found 2 occurrences and replace them, so I'll save it. And let me scroll down just so you can see. So right here, now it says King Kong Arch and King Kong Arch. So I saved it already. I'll close that file. Now on this one, I'll do it again. Replace. It was not found in this one, so I could just, oh, well, this is the Pac-Man conf. Let me go back to the loopback. Yeah, see right here it says LinuxHub Arch. I'll go replace all. Now one of the things I got to see right here, it also, there's a V2. So I'm going to change that to 1. 1. And let me see, do we have any more occurrences? We do not. All right, so that was twice. All right, that's set now. Save it. And I'll close it. All right, so that was in our Grub folder. Go back to releng. Let me see, efiboot. Is there anything we need to do in here? Let me try loader.conf. I don't see anything in here, so I'll close it. All right, entries. Let me just open up both of these. Open with Pluma. All right, there is one instance right here where it says LinuxHub. So I'll replace that, save, and I'll close this one. And right here again, same thing, replace it, and I'll save. Now I'm going to close this one. All right. And that's on my entries. All right, that was efiboot. Go back to releng. All right, now we're going into airootfs. And in here is where you have your etc., root, and your user directories. So right here in etc. is where you have most of everything that you're going to work with. So right here you have your lightdm-conf, LinuxHub ASCII. This is the for every time that I open this, and you get this LinuxHub icon right here. It's all derived from that. So if I just open this with the text editor, oh, you see, it's just right there on its own. All right, so just close that. So in here, everything is pretty much already set up for what you need on your system. So right now, we're just going to change all the branding. So we need to change the branding so it could be King Kong Linux. So I don't need to mess with the group. I don't need to mess with the Grub, or do I? Yes, I do have to mess with the Grub. So let me open this with Pluma. All right, so everywhere where it says LinuxHub, I want to change that to King Kong. So it found 4 spots. Let's go down to those 4 spots. All right, this is just one of them right here. And let's see. There's another one right here. It should be a total of 4. But what we can do is, let me do this. So, all right, so it shows me, it's going to highlight now everywhere that it finds it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so it's all set up. I'll go ahead and save the Grub CFG and close that. All right, so G shadow, we don't have to change nothing there. Host name, yeah, we do want to change something here. So I'll open that with Pluma. So right here where it says Linux Arch, we're going to change that to King Kong. Save it and close it. All right, lightdm.conf, you don't have to mess with that. This we'll mess with later. Locale, you don't have to mess with. Neofetch, this is another one. So we'll open this with Pluma. All right, so right here, again, you don't even have to remove LinuxHub from here. You just want to find where it's at. So we'll type in LinuxHub, we'll go find. So it's right here, and everything's listed right here in alphabetical order. So King Kong would go right, I guess right here, right after Kibo Joe. So right here, we're going to add, whoops, King, let me see, underscore Kong. All right. So we're going to do that for all of these right here. So is there any K's right here? I don't think we have to add it down here, but we're just going to keep looking for LinuxHub. All right. So it's right here again, and we'll start it again over here. Oh, put a T in there that didn't need it. All right, and it's again down here, but I don't think I have to add it down there. All right, moving along. And right here, under here, I'm just going to select this entire area, highlight it. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm just going to paste it right in here. Now, I'm not sure if these are listed in alphabetical order or not. They probably are. So, you know what? Let me go ahead and go back. And where is the K's? Okay, Kubuntu, KS Linux, Karora. So right after Keyboard Joe is where I'm gonna add the King Kong. All right, so now we need to create a ASCII art for King Kong. So let's go back to the King Kong images. And this is just for the sake of this video. I mean, you could put your own icon and you can create your own ASCII art the way you want to. So I just want to do let me try to find a simple King Kong Linux that I could create a nice all right, these are all the edits I need to do to it. So now I saved it as a PNG and I'm gonna open it up on a website to create the ASCII art from it. Do a quick paste. See, it is kind of big, so you just have to be careful with this because the bigger it is, the more it is gonna, you know, you just got to mess with the sizes and get it down to something that's manageable. So right here, I'm gonna change this. That way it knows how to open it up by the King Kong label. All right, so that's on here and I'm gonna save. And that's gonna be your NeoFetch file. I'll go ahead and close that down now. All right, so let's go back to etc. That's NeoFetch. The next thing we want to edit is going to be OS release. OS release, this right here is what opens up right next to the, it's what gives you all the information right here on this right here. This is coming from the OS release file. So the same thing as before, we want to change this to King Kong. And of course, in this case, I'm calling it version 1. All right, so right here, do the same thing, just King Kong. If you got a home URL, you would add it here. You know, just change LinuxHubs. Just change these URLs with whatever URL you want to give it. But for the sake of this video, since I don't have a King Kong URL, I'm just not going to mess with it. But if you did have a URL that you wanted, like your home URL, your support URL, and your bug report URL, then you would add them here. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to close this. All right. That's your OS release. And you don't have to mess with password. You don't have to mess with resolve. You don't have to mess with shadow and you don't have to mess with suitors. We're done with all that right there. All right. Now we're going to go into our skel folder. In here, I'm going to show hidden files and it's going to open up your local. And the local is what you have most of your stuff is at. Well, actually, it's all right here. So go into the share folder, go into the scripts. All right, so you have a few folders right here. You have lhinstaller. This is going to be everything that has to do with your installer. And then you have LinuxHub. This is like for the LinuxHub Center and things like that. So one of the things you want to change right here is going to be welcome. So this is welcome right here. You open that up with Pluma. So this is going to be your welcome screen. So right here, it's going to have the image, the welcome image, which is this one right here. So let's open this up with GIMP. And instead, now it's going to say that. All right. So we'll go ahead and close this. And that's your image. So now we'll go back to the welcome right here. And let's see. From right here, I have my display settings. So on the display settings, it's a script that I created and it's inside that LinuxHub folder. So if you change the name of this folder, so say for example, in this one, we're going to go ahead and rename it. We're going to call it King Kong. You have to remember that in this script, you also have to change the name. So every folder that's part of LinuxHub now has to be changed to King Kong. All right. So this is for the display settings on your welcome screen. Now it's pointed to that proper folder. And let me see, do we have anything else in here with LinuxHub? So right here, this is the welcome screen that it opens the display settings. It opens up the update core repositories, and these are the commands that it's doing. If you want to back up your system, it lets you know to open up Timeshift, to open up the PAMAC software manager to install it, and your theme manager. So any changes right here you make is going to reflect on your welcome screen. So if you want to add changes, you can add them right here. If you want to remove changes, you can remove them right here. So right here, for the sake of this video, I'm going to just say visit King Kong website. And I'm just going to leave that URL there. But for the case of if you wanted to point it to your own website, then you would change it right here. But, you know, I don't have a King Kong website, so I'm just going to leave that right there. And then I'm just going to save this. And this is the welcome screen you get when you open up your distro. All right. So nothing else should have to be changed here. Now before we go into the installer itself, let's go into this King Kong folder and see if we have to remove any other settings. So the first one we'll open up is display. So this is how you get your display settings going. Let me search for LinuxHub. Okay. So you see how they're pointing to the LinuxHub folder. We changed that folder. So now we have to call it King Kong. All right, we changed that one to King Kong, and we'll change this one to King Kong, and we'll save. We'll close that one down. All right, now remove window. Well, first let me open up this settings file, because this is controlling everything that's in this folder itself. So right here, let's change all these to King Kong. So we'll search for LinuxHub and we'll replace it with King Kong. And it should do it 3 times. Oh, it did it 4 times. All right. So all of the changes are done here, and we'll save this. So right here is you have remove window decorations, return window decorations, OpenBox config, and all these settings that are from the LinuxHub Center. But now, since it's King Kong Linux now, you know, we're making all the proper changes. So we changed that. So now we come back over here. There's an image right here. So what we want to do with this image is, again, open it up in GIMP. So now that's overwritten. All right. So we already opened up display and Pluma. Now what I like to do, just to make it easier, I just select them all. We already have the settings open, and I'll just click on open. That way I can just go through them one by one. So on this one, let's see, do we have anything that says LinuxHub? We do not. So we'll close that one. On this one, same thing. We don't see anything. And you could read through all these and actually figure out what it's doing. So that way you can make changes on your own. No, play with them. All right, this one right here, we already made the changes on display, so nothing to change there. So if we're done with the settings folder. So the King Kong folder is now completely done. And we can go ahead and close this file. All right, go back to scripts. Now we're going to let me see, do I need to make changes up here to PAMAC? Let me check the PAMAC installer first, just to make sure. Okay, no, I don't see anything to the LinuxHub. So let me check this folder real quick. There shouldn't be nothing in here either. All right, now we're good. And auto start. Let me see. I think this is a. Oh yeah, I do need this in here. All right. So this is when you want to, this file right here itself is what removes your script from auto loading and auto login your welcome screen. But like I said, you can read them all and go through them. All right. So we're almost there. We're almost done with everything. Now this is the meat of the package right here. This is your installer right here. And like I said, this uses the Arch install script that's already provided by Arch Linux. So there's no big secret there. All we're doing is making it install what we want to install. Okay, so you don't have to mess with the user JSON. You will have to mess with the LinuxHub JSON. But we'll get into those right now. So first, we're going to do the image. Let's go ahead and open this image in GIMP. Simple enough. You just edit the image itself. All right. All right. So let's go through one of these one by one and see what all we have to edit. So this is going to be all. I named this folder all because what it opens up is your to add your username as your root password, add a user password, and to the enable auto login. All of that is in this one file right here. So we're going to search for LinuxHub. So I'll do a find, and it found it up here. So we're in the LH installer folder right now, and there is one right here that says LinuxHub Installer. So if we change the name of this installer, we have to go and find a file and change the name of it also. So if we want to call it King Kong installer, let's do that right now. So I'll just do. Okay, I'll type, but nothing happened. Let me select it again. So I've changed the name of LinuxHub installer to King Kong installer. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in here. Here it is right here, LinuxHub installer. So I'm gonna rename that. Oh shit, I just pinned it. I'm going to rename it. And I'm only going to rename the LinuxHub part. So now it's King Kong Linux. So this file, now that it's renamed in both places, I renamed it here and it's renamed in the file also. So let me find LinuxHub again. And it's right here in the bottom. It's the same one. So we have to change this one also. Okay, so now that's changed to King Kong. All right, I think we're done with the all file. So we'll go ahead and close that down. All right, let me unpin this because for some reason I pinned it. All right, the Arch install ping. This is what opens up to help you with the when you start the installer. It's basically telling you that you basically just need to mess with the disk configuration. So really you don't have to edit this at all. So you can just leave that alone. Auto login. Let's see if we need to make any changes here. So let me find LinuxHub. LinuxHub is not found. So I don't think we need to change anything in here. So we're good. We could just close that out. All right, the next one is installer. Let's open installer. All right, so right here it says LinuxHub Arch Edition version 1 installer. So right here, if you want to change this to King Kong, you can do that. This is stuff that's not even going to show up on your on anything, so you really don't have to change it. But if you want to, for the sake of it, go ahead and change it. There's no issues. So let me look for more LinuxHub. LinuxHub is not found on anything here. All right, so we're good. So right here on the installer, this is the installation guide video that I've added to the installer. So since if you want to make your own distro, you would probably want to delete this line because you would have your own. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to delete that. All right. And I'll go ahead and save it, and I'm done with the installer. All right, we already did the image for the installer, and then we do King Kong installer. Let's open this up, see if it points to anything that says LinuxHub. Okay, yes it does. Welcome to the, so we're going to change the first one. So the first one is going to say, welcome to the King Kong installer. And we have another one right here. It says, thank you for trying King Kong Arch. And the last one right here is going to be the LinuxHub.json. So If we change LinuxHub JSON, we have to find it in other places and change it. So since you're not going to see this, I would advise not to even change this right here. This one right here, I wouldn't even change it because it's in multiple files, but you'll never see it. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing. It's no branding that's going to come out from this right here. This is all done behind the scenes. So there's no reason to change the LinuxHub JSON file. So I'll just leave it alone. All right. So the King Kong installer is done. All right. LinuxHub JSON, we'll come back to that. Let's go to login. The login script is login and login one. So this one, we don't have to change nothing there. That's good as it is. And login one. Let's see. Let's find where it says LinuxHub. It doesn't say LinuxHub, so we're good right here also. We don't have to change nothing right here. All right. And move. So let's find LinuxHub. So LinuxHub is going to be down here. So this one folder, I mean, you could just remove this whole line right there. You don't need it. So, but this right here, you do. I want to change LinuxHub to say King Kong, because this is going to change your Grub script. And it is version 1, so we'll change that to version 1. And I believe that's it. I think that's all the changes we have to do and move. All right, we'll save that. All right, how lucky am I feeling now? Because I think we're done. I think we're done with this folder. Okay, let's take a look at the LinuxHub JSON. You really don't have to make any changes in here, but I'm going to show you what you can do. Oh yeah, right here, the host name. So first let me do a search or find. And we're going to change that because we changed it to King Kong. So now it's King Kong Arch. And let me do a find again. That's it. LinuxHub not found again. All right. So right here, on this file, these are the tools that you're actually going to install on your system. So on your packages 86, this is for the ISO. Everything right here is for the ISO only. It's not for your system. It's just for the ISO. Everything in this JSON folder is for your new system. So all the programs you want to install on your new system, you have to do it right here. So you can see right here, all this right here is installed on your new system. So whatever changes you want to make to your system, whatever custom software you want to put on there, you'll do it right here in this section. So, yeah, and it keeps on going all the way down to here. These are all the programs that are going to be installed. And like I said, you can't use AUR programs. You can't use Yay, no Git. No, these are just standard programs that come with the Arch. You know what I mean? So only Arch programs you can put right here. So if you do want to add something, you notice that on the last one right here, it doesn't have this little mark right here. So all you would do is just say copy one of these and then make a new line. And then right here, you'll just add your new whatever it is you want to install. Let's say for the sake of, oh, sorry about that. Let's say for the sake of this video, we want to add, I don't know, gedit. And then so on and so forth. Every other program you want to add to it, you just create a new line and just add it. All right. And these are your services right here. So right here, the services that have to be enabled when you install your system is LightDM and I had it set up to Bluetooth for both of these. So that's what these services are right here. And everything else you really don't have to mess with. This is all just part of the Arch install script. So I'll just go ahead and save that and change it. That's why this is one of the folders, like I said, you don't want to change the name of it because you don't see it, but it does all the work. And if you do change the name of this, then you have to find it in multiple spots, and it's just going to be more of a headache than anything. You can do it. Don't get me wrong. You can do it, but, it's just simple enough. Since you're never going to see it, it's just part of for your branding, for creating your distro, this is something that's not even going to be seen. You know what I mean? So you don't have to worry about changing the name of it. I'm just telling you where to change everything, where it's going to be branding to where you can see. So it'll be whatever name you give it is what you're going to see. All right. So with this folder, we're pretty much done with this folder. So let me go down. Let me see. What else do we need to change now? All right, just to avoid confusion, let me close down this. Let me close down this. Everything here, I think we're done. But if I do need to open it back up, I'll open it back up. All right. Okay, did I change anything? Names? I did. I did change names. Okay, so what did I change? King Kong Installer. So I'm going to go open up profile again. Okay, I'm just going to figure out everything that I changed the name of. And I go, so let me see. I changed King Kong right here. So King Kong Installer. So in this profile, right here where it says LinuxHub Installer, now it says it's a King Kong Installer. So I have to change it right there because this is going to give this file the permissions that it needs for it to go ahead and do what it needs to do. So I changed that to King Kong Installer. All right, let me go back to the scripts. Let's go into King Kong. So nothing here, but this folder itself, we did change the name of it. So everything that's the folder LinuxHub, we have to change. So down here.
This is now King Kong. And we just copy, paste, paste, paste.
All right. So all the folder names that I need to change are changed right here. So let me go ahead and save. Okay, I should be done with that now, but let me just go over this. Let me see. We didn't change the name of the JSON because we don't want to. So just the King Kong Installer. That's it. All right. We should be done with this. All right. But just for the sake of it, let me see. I did double check here. Nothing. No more name changes. Everything right here. No more name changes. And the installer. Just King Kong Installer. That's it. I'm just double checking everything. Because, like I said, it's going back and forth. For me, creating the first ISO was a nightmare because I was just constantly going back and forth. And you'll experience that too. Like I said, if you change the name of this file right here, that's where you're going to find yourself going back and forth, back and forth. Okay, now I need to change it here. Now I need. So that's why I say you don't even have to change that. All right. So now it comes to your desktop itself. Let's say, for example, let's go ahead and we're going to open up a wallpaper. It's King Kong Linux, so we want another, there it is. I click on apply. All right. So the reason why I did that is just so I could do it on my main system. And I'm going to show you a trick. So now I'll go to config, and I use nitrogen to set my wallpaper. So in my home folder from config, I'll just copy this folder itself. And then I'll go back to the ISO, releng, airootfs, etc., skeleton, and then go to config. And you can see there's a folder already here for nitrogen, and I'm just going to replace it. So I'll go paste, and I'm just going to merge the folders and the files. I'm just going to replace them. All right. And that's how you grab your desktop settings. So everything on here are my desktop settings that are on this computer right here. So whatever changes I want to make, I would have to go into Hub, or not a Hub, but in your case, whatever the name that is of your system, and in the config folder, basically everything in here you would want to copy and put it into that config folder. So let's go back to this ISO, and let's go back to the skel folder, etc. Skel. All of these folders right here are empty except for config, fonts, local, themes. Everything else, they're just empty folders. This is what creates your folder construct. On your system, let me open this in a new tab. On your system, everything on your computer pretty much lives in your home folder location. But mainly right here in config, this is where all your dot files are considered to be. So in this case, it's OpenBox. So this is where your OpenBox folder is. If there was any auto start programs, you would set them up from in here, from your auto start file. You open that up with Luma, and anything that you want your system to auto start, you just add it on here and just put an ampersand at the end. But basically everything in here is dictated by the OpenBox folder, because this is the OpenBox section. Now, if you were doing XFCE, Cinnamon, or Plasma, there would be other, I keep hitting the microphone, sorry. There would be other files that you would copy over here. But like I say, you just copy your whole config folder over here. So the way you have your computer set up, if you want everything to duplicate that, you copy everything from your config folder and you bring it over here. Now, another thing is that when you copy your config folders, you have to see what all has the name of your home folder. For in this case, it's hub. So let me go back to config. So a good thing to do right here is use the search and use this right here to find hub. And this right here shows me everything where the word hub is in there. And you would basically have to change that. You would have to change it to whatever whatever your home folder is going to be. But I have it set up in my thing to do it in a file during the installation. So let's go back to the install folder. Let's go to this one. And then I'm going to navigate to the local share scripts. And in this case, lhinstaller. And there's a file called move. You open this and this right here. In here is where, let me see. I'm looking for live. Oh, there it is right here. So in this case, inside of that config folder, I know it seems confusing right now, but you'll get it. In here, there's a file called bookmarks. So I'm going to open this with Luma. So right now it has the home user. This is the home user right here, which is, in this case, it's hub. But I set it up in the script to use a different one. So let me get back over there. So we'll go into this folder, and the bookmarks on this one is live. So see right here, and I just did it like that live. This is so that when the live user is, the live is the name of the user for the ISO itself. So that's why it's called live. So when you're doing the installation, your username is live. So it uses that to use its functions. But then I have this little part of the script right here that's written, and this is going to change that file from live to whatever the username is that you choose during your installation. So it's going to change the name of that to your username. or else it's going to be confusing inside of your folder, and it's going to mess up your system. Because your username on once you install the system is not going to be live. It's going to be whatever username you use. So that's why it's changing the name of that. So this right here, the script right here, if you needed to change it multiple times, you have to point it to that file. So let's say there was another file. You have to change it right here. Now this is where it gets very confusing. Is because you're changing it in a way that the system, once you install it, you have to know where the file is. In this case, it's going to be in your mount Arch install folder. And then you just navigate, you use home, and the username right here is going to be the username that you use during your installation. And then that's going to be the home folder. And then like in this case, it's in config and it's this folder and this file. So you have to figure out what file it is and change it all manually. If you need to change it multiple times. If not, just this one time should be fine. But like I said, it all depends on how crazy you get with your edits and how you, your dot files and how detailed they are. So if you're required to change the username on your dot files, you have to figure out each one, and you have to think of this right here. This entire line right here is going to be your home location on your new system. So that's why you have to like figure it out. In this case, it's going to be mount, Arch install, home, your username. And then after your username is everything in your home folder. So you have to figure out where each file is at. If you need to change that name to your new username, you have to figure each one out, and you have to add them in here manually. Like I said, it could get confusing, but once you do it a couple times, then you start picking up the habit, and then you start learning what's doing what, and then it'll make everything easier for you. So, but in this case, right now, the way the system, everything that we've done right now, everything is fine the way it is. So I'm just going to leave that like that, close this down. So I'm pretty much done here. Now, if there are other edits you want to make to your system, let's say if you make any edits to the panel, and say like right here where it says LinuxHub. As a matter of fact, let's do that right now. Let me see. No, I don't need to click that one. I right click on this. It's going to open up my panel editor. So right here, button 1, you see where it says LinuxHub? We're going to change that to King Kong. Like I said, it's all about branding. When you make your own distro, you just basically branding your system. You know what? Let's call it King Kong Linux. Just for the sake of this video. All right. See, so now you got a big ass button that says King Kong Linux. All right. So since I made this change right here, I have to go into my config folder and tint 2. I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to navigate back to my ISO, releng, airootfs, etc. skeleton folder and go to config. And now I'm going to replace the original tint 2 with this one. And you just rinse and repeat for every change that you make. You change your wallpaper, anything that you change, you just grab the file from your config folder and bring it to the ISO, releng, airootfs, etc. scale config. So this is you got to think of this as the config to your new system that you're installing. Okay. So I think I'm done with everything now. From here, I'm going to open in terminal. So you can see right here, my location is hub. I'm at the ISO folder right now. So I'm going to type sudo mk arch ISO. And then I'm going to give it the flags V so you can view everything that's going on. And W, which is going to be our output folder. That's going to be your work folder. And then the output, I'm going to put it in the same folder. It's going to be output. And what I want it to work from is my releng folder. That's it. I just type enter. Give you a password. All right, so now it's creating the ISO right here. So just go make myself a cup of coffee, and when I come back, it should be done. All right, our ISO has completed writing, and you can see right here it is 1.9 gigabytes, and it's stored in our output folder that we set it to. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab it. See right here, it already created it. It's King Kong Linux. So I'm just going to copy this over to my system so we can open it up in a virtual machine. Take a look at it. All right, so I'm going to install from file, go to downloads, and King Kong Linux. All right, I'm just going to leave everything stock. 2 gigabytes, 20 gigabyte hard drive. Well, maybe I'll change this to 30 just to be, I'll leave it right there. And the type is it's gonna change right now anyways once I set the type, because it is Arch Linux. For the sake of this video, we're gonna leave it on BIOS. Because I knew once I changed it to Arch Linux, it was gonna change everything. But I'll give it back to 20 gigs, and we'll open this up. All right, and this is the beginning of and you can see right there the image and King Kong Arch. Okay, right here, I forgot to change this version 2.0 somewhere. So I would have to go back and change that right there where it says version 2.0. But we're going to go ahead and install this, and then we'll go back and look at the other system and see where what we didn't change. So you see right here, welcome to King Kong. It's going to boot up and go straight into the installer. This is why I say you don't have to mess with the Arch ISO part, because it's already baked into the system. You can make all the changes you want, but you don't really have to mess with it. All right, and this is booted straight off the ISO itself right here. So you see right here, it says King Kong Installer. To begin installation, click on button below. So we'll go ahead and get it started. So right here, I'm going to call him King Kong. Give King Kong a password. Complicated, that's not 1-2. Same thing for the root. And for the sake of this video, I type yes for the auto login. And you can see right here, welcome to the King Kong installer. Most users only have to, it's all the same info. So you go to right here, and it's telling you that you basically just have to mess with this configuration, but you can mess with all of it if you want. Click on continue, and it'll start up the installer. All right, so I don't have to mess with the mirrors. I don't have to mess with the locale. So I'm just going straight to disk configuration. Use the best effort. Use the 20 gigabyte drive. Use the space bar to select it. Click enter. And I always use ext4. And that's it. If you want to set up disk encryption, you can do that. Bootloader, swap, host name. It's all right here. You can mess with all of these, but like I said, it's already all set up. So all you basically have to do is, if you want to mess with your time zone, say for me, I'm going to go to America, Los Angeles. Highlight it and click enter. All right, now I'll just go straight to install. All right, then press enter to continue. All right, it's going to do its thing again. Again, go make yourself a cup of coffee, do something, and then come back. So for right now, I'll pause the video, and when we come back, we'll take a look at King Kong Linux. All right, we're at the part of the installation where it tells us if we want to chroot. Again, you can just click no, and now it's going to configure the system. And if you select a yes for auto login, it's going to go ahead and set that up. All right, the installation is now completed, so we can go ahead and reboot the system. All right, username. And there it is. This is your new installed system. This is King Kong Linux now. So this is your welcome screen. All the changes you need to do on your welcome screen, do it right here. You got your button right here. It says King Kong Linux. You open it up. My user is King Kong. All my software is installed. Everything worked without a hitch. All right. And then we got right here our little LinuxHub Center. For some reason, it didn't get the image. So I think we have to change the name of the image. So these are the type of things that you'll go back and forth on, you know, a lot. So, all right. So that's basically what you need to do to create your own Arch distro. So try it out. Give it a try. Let me know if it works for you. Please leave comments. And yeah, let's do this. Make your own distro using LinuxHub. All right, you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. And I'm out.